How do you encourage your team to dig deep when you need them to be courageous, composed and wise in the face of ongoing uncertainty, in the face of ongoing adversity? How do you inspire people without setting them up to fail or unrealistically raising their level of hopes to just unachievable levels? There's a wonderful insight from the Stockdale paradox. It has its origins in the Vietnam War, where Jim Stockdale was one of the highest ranking US military personnel to be stuck in the Hanoi Hotel, the infamous prisoner of war camp. He was there for over 7 years, tortured throughout his time there. And when he got out, people asked him, well, how come you survived and many of your peers didn't? And Stockdale said, well, many of my peers were optimists and they died of broken hearts. They tell themselves that, well, we'll be out by Christmas. And then Christmas would come and go and they weren't out. Then they'd say, we'll be out by Easter. Easter would come and go and they weren't out. And eventually, as they kept hanging on to a future date, as we'll be out by then, and these dates kept passing, their hopes got crushed because these dates were beyond their control and they were completely unrealistic. Stockdale accepted that he'd be there a long time. He accepted the brutal reality of his day-to-day situation. But at the same time, never lost sight or hope of the fact that in the end, he would ultimately prevail and get out, and at that point he'd find meaning in what he'd previously endured. So when we think about our teams today, we're not in the Vietnam War, thankfully, but when we think about our teams today, it is fine to talk about how tough things are and that conversation continues for as long as things are tough. Don't rush people into being positive now. We've talked about the tough stuff, and let's talk about the good stuff. It's fine to talk about it and accept it, and then at the same time, you inspire them with hope that ultimately you will prevail and that there is a step-by-step plan to get you to that point at some point. And of course, when you do prevail, you'll have learned an awful lot about yourselves. You'll find meaning in what you've endured. So that's how you do it. That's how you inspire your team without setting them up to fail.